I am hungry for the Ogor Mawtribes. The new faction focus came out today. Spoiler alert, I'm probably the most positive Ogre player about this. Most Ogre players seem to be unhappy. I think people should wait until the new edition comes out, because if we get points drops and we have more ogres, then the nerfs that we've experienced will actually make sense. Like if you look at the ogre spearhead, it is a lot bigger than everyone else's, so it makes sense that we get nerfed and we get points drops. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Maybe they're going to intentionally ruin the Ogor Mawtribes like Beasts of Chaos. So I'm optimistic that we're going to be getting our battle tome in the second year, and then our faction will look better then. So let's go through. Don't care about the lore. Yeah, so look at the battle traits. Trampling charge. I mean, some people see this as a nerf. Like I tried, like yesterday, I tried in my first round. Yesterday, I was playing ogres against Cities of Sigmar. I only did 8 mortal wounds. This was a 2,000 point army trying to charge most of my units. I think with this new rule where you roll d3 on 2 plus, you inflict mortal damages on a target equal to that roll, I think you would statistically more likely to inflict damage. You'd be inflicting damage per unit as opposed to the current trampling charge rule. But I think the end result we would see is actually more damage, because you're most likely going to pass this roll. So if you had 4 units, you could possibly also have 8. So it might statistically be the same or slightly better. I mean, you'd have to get an Excel sheet and roll the dice to see what you get. But I think scoring on 2 plus with less chances is better than scoring on most of the time 6 plus, sometimes 5 or 4, depending on your faction. Let's say most of the time it's a 5 plus, and if you meet fist 4 plus, I think rolling a 2 plus is more likely, and I think you're more likely to get 2 to 3 damage per unit charging, as opposed to maybe most of the time only making 1 or 2 damages with the current rule. So I think this new rule makes it easier to do the maths, and we're ogre players, probably not good at maths. It makes it easier, and the probability is the same. I'm in favor of easier rules. That's my agenda. If AOS gets more complicated, I'm going to OPR. The passive, add 2 to 1 rolls for friendly units. So instead of walking across the board easily, taking shots and charging, we'll just be able to run across. So it's obviously not as good, but as I said, if we're getting points drops, then I'm fine with it. This one, the Feast on Flesh, I think this is my favorite rules change. I think this new rule, or this new battle trait, would make up for any downside. The fact that if you roll a d3 and on 2 plus you get healed, so you're going to get healed either 1, 2, or 3, and you'll pick an enemy unit and you'll do damage to them 1, 2, or 3. This is definitely good that we now have some way to heal ourselves, and it would do more damage than the old version or the current version trampling charge. So I think the Feast of Flesh definitely is much better than Gulping Bites. And I think it's definitely improvement. I think Like the new trampling charge is at least the same, but easier than the current rule. But the Feast on Flesh is definitely better than Gulping Bites. And I think that's better. I think getting more healing is good. So unfortunately for me, I'm a Gutbuster. I'm a Gutbuster. I don't like Beastlaw Raiders. I have some Mournfang. They don't do very well when I play them, and I couldn't be bothered building up a Mournfang army because of that. But again, maybe we'll see improvement for the Mournfang in the new edition. I'll change my mind. So I've got to keep I've got orcs that want kit bash into ogres for my Mournfangs, but I'm keeping that project aside. So yeah, for me, this is not particularly interesting, but I'm a Gutbuster, not a Beastlaw Raider. Again, this prayer relates to this prayer to me is just complicated. The Call of the Blizzard. It's like, yeah, this is why I don't play Beastlaw Raiders. Now Kragnos, I don't know, man. I mean, he had a 2+ save, so he's nerfed. He's got less rules. He's nerfed, but we're seeing in the other faction focuses, everyone's getting nerfs and less rules, so the game's less complicated. So I'm going to be hopeful that all that pays off. So even if he is nerfed, but everyone else is also nerfed, then the game is balanced, and maybe they bring him down to 600 points. So I'm getting my Kragnos. Hopefully today my Kragnos will arrive. Waiting months for my Kragnos to arrive. So I'm optimistic that Kragnos' points will be reduced, and every other faction that is getting nerfed. So I believe, and I could be wrong, that we're all getting nerfed. It's going to be easier for us to play because the rules are simple, and that's as long as it's all balanced, then it's fine. Like the ogres still have the gameplay of you got to be charging, man. You got to be charging. Again, Huskguards. People are complaining that the Blood Vulture is now a ranged weapon as opposed to ability. The chain trap weapon would be what I picked up, but I'm not interested in Stonehorns or Beastlaw Raiders. So this is the bit I don't like the most. I'm not interested in Beastlaw Raiders. Now Gluttons, they're to me they're not auto included in my army. When I get my Kragnos, they probably won't be in my army list. But they're an elite unit. They're like having a knight in comparison to other armies. Harder to hit, which is annoying, but more likely to wound. Oh, I think that's going to lead to, because it's harder to hit and easier to wound, I think that is going to be less hits, but then those hits are more likely to go through and damage. I think that's kind of worse for your perspective. That is a slight nerf, even though it's increased by 1 and down by 1 in the other. I think, yeah, but they'll have more objective control if you use Feast on Flesh, so that's good. So is it a nerf? Maybe it's a nerf. Maybe. I think had the probability of your maths that's going to work out, a 4+ hit and 2+ wound, I think that's going to be less damage. But again, you'd have to get a bunch of dice, roll it out, and see what the probability is. I'm sure someone who's actually good at maths could tell me for that. But is it a nerf? I don't know. They'll have more objective control, and it seems to be across the board. Large units are harder to hit, but easier to wound. We see that in other armies, so it's an elite army. Kind of makes sense. Like in real life, large people are slow but strong. So that does kind of make sense. The Gorgers, yeah, this is a mixed one because these were my first ogre unit that I bought. They're my favorite model that I've ever painted. I actually have never painted anything better since I've painted this unit. And they suffer from the same kind of nerf, but they have this new anti-infantry ability, so they do work well as an anti-infantry screen. Because that's what I've been using them for in games. I used them as a screen, even though that probably wasn't the design. But now it's kind of obvious. They probably saw, oh, people are using them as a screen, so we might as well make them screens. Now, this deployment thing, yeah, the new way that they do deployment is a bit convoluted how to express it. So he's lurking in the fringes, and then they pop out within 9 inches of the battlefield edge. So it has to be with an edge, not the middle. That's a minor nerf. I'm gonna consider this to be a minor nerf. I mean, they made the movement slightly not as good, but made it better against infantry. So, oh, I don't know. So here we go. Look, yeah. So the spearhead is the Vanguard box. I recommend people buying this box because like you can get it in some places for like €94. You get loads of models. You get a small ogre army. You just need to buy one more unit for 1,000 point army. Buy two of these boxes and then a big unit. Like you'd be spending €250 on a 2,000 point competitive army. But this, because it has iron blasters and lead blasters, you're more of an iron gut or undergut. Yeah, undergut faction is my favorite faction. Mornfang, at the moment are crap. I don't like Mornfang. I don't like that part of the army, the mounted units. I just don't like them. Don't think they're good. I don't think they have enough damage output to compensate for their not very speediness. Now, I don't know. Did I pass by it? Yeah, this rule here, I don't understand. Why is the Iron Blaster Morn Pack popping up? Oh, maybe that's. Hopefully, that is keywords core. Okay, so this might just be for the spearhead. I'm not really understanding how that's phrased. It says keyword core there, but the paragraph here implies that's for the spearhead. So you're playing spearhead, your Iron Blast and Morn Fangs are off the table and charging later. Maybe it's to compensate for they realize that like you get loads of models in the ogre spearhead. Maybe the new ogre spearhead when it comes out, I believe next year, will be Morn Fang themed. Yeah, so lead belchers, they're going to be shooting less. They're going to be shooting less. Instead of, like, usually when you, yeah, so nerfed. Lead belchers are nerfed. But overall, I'm okay with this. I think all the factions are getting nerfed, and then they'll get a boost when their battle tomes come out. I think that's the marketing plan that Games Workshop has decided it works for them. So if we, with all these, some of the rule changes I like, some are kind of nerfed, some are actually balanced when you look at it. I'm warm to it. I am hungry for ogres. Looking forward to playing Spearhead Ogres when it comes out. Who knows when it's coming out? I don't know. Do you know? Comment down below if you know when it's coming out.